guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the American Chamber of Commerce, you are all very welcome to our spring lunch. It is great to see so many of our members and your guests here today, and it's also great to be back in the wonderful ballroom of the Shelbourne Hotel, and I'm sure we're going to have a very enjoyable lunch. I would like to especially acknowledge the sponsors of today's event, which are IBM, and to extend a very welcome to all of the IBM guests, to Peter, to Kieran. Thank you for partnering with us on the lunch today, and I'll say a little bit more about IBM and their fantastic news that they issued earlier on today. I'd also like to extend a very warm welcome to the Deputy Chief of Mission at the US Embassy, Mr. John Hennessy Nyland, and his colleague, Dr. Stephen Anderson. Now, we have a great programme lined up for you. In just a few minutes, I'll be introducing our President of the American Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Peter O'Neill. And after lunch, our guest speaker is Dr. Suzanne Rosalie McCauley, Research Fellow at the IMD World Competitiveness Centre. The theme for our lunch today is Ireland's sustainable competitiveness. So in my short opening, I just want to put in context the very positive position that Ireland is in relation to global investment, and in particular, investment from the United States. Since the global financial crisis started 3 years ago, the economic relationship between Ireland and the United States has grown even stronger. And the latest figures from the Bureau of Economic Analysis confirm that US investment now exceeds $190 billion, which is 5 times greater than it was only 10 short years ago. The export figures are very strong. January and February this year show an increase of 10% year on year. US companies are exporting in excess of $100 billion in goods and services around the globe each year, and actually represent 26% of Ireland's GDP at this given time. Indeed, US exports from Ireland exceed most nations around the globe, their total exports. In addition, of course, US companies are contributing over $4 billion in corporation tax, VAT and excise. We're spending $16 billion on payroll and services in the Irish economy every year, and our member companies account for 73% of all business spend on research, development and innovation. One of the biggest advantages that Ireland has over most nations around the globe is the fact that we have a base of over 600 US companies here. The total assets of US companies now in Ireland are over 700 billion. Which by far exceeds the total assets that US companies have, for example, in France and Germany, or indeed the 2 largest economies in Asia, Japan and China. And this represents a significant opportunity for future investment. Last year, Ireland was one of the few countries in the world that actually saw an increase in investment. It grew by 18%. And in 2012, this year, as I'm sure you'll all appreciate, has got off to a stunning start. Over 1.8 billion of new investment and over 4,100 new jobs have been announced by our member companies all around the country in the first 4 months of this year. So, for example, Allergan in Mayo, Abbott in Sligo, Eli Lilly in Cork, all making significant investments in the biotech and pharmaceutical sectors. HP are creating jobs in Dublin and Galway. Microsoft continue to invest in their cloud computing services. You will have read of the amazing announcement by PayPal, 1,000 jobs in Dundalk. And very recently, in the last couple of weeks, Mylan, Apple, Cisco, just yesterday, Merit Medical, and indeed this morning we heard the announcement from IBM announcing a global services integrated hub in Dublin. And all of this has a very positive knock-on effect. We have Barry O'Leary, whom you all know as head of the IDA, as our guest today. And Barry recently pointed out, which I thought was phenomenal, he said that 10 of the latest investments over the last couple of months will require the building of facilities in excess of 1.5 million square feet. And that actually had the potential to create a further 1,500 jobs in the construction industry. The indicators are very positive for the next number of years. In March, a report was issued by the Economist Intelligence Unit. It was their annual FDI report, which was actually commissioned, and we have Liam Quirk here from MOPS, was commissioned by MOPS. And that report predicted that over the next 3 years, 7.7 billion of new investment and 20,000 new jobs will be created by US companies here in Ireland. So our theme today of Ireland's sustainable competitiveness is very timely in the context of the retention and growth of US investment and the enormous impact that that continues to have on the Irish economy. So on that very positive note, it's my great pleasure, as always, to introduce to the podium the President of the American Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Peter O'Neill. IBM are one of the largest and longest established multinationals in Ireland, with over 3,500, and I'll soon be saying 3,700 people employed here. Peter, of course, is Managing Director. IBM supply very, very high-end, high-value ICT products and services, not only to companies here in Ireland, but more importantly to companies around the globe. So I suppose nobody better positioned to talk about global competitiveness and what's driving it. So ladies and gentlemen, please give the warmest of welcome to our President, Peter O'Neill.